welcome to episode 53 of the Hudson Valley Knits podcast. I am Amy, and I am also known as Memers on Instagram and Twitter. Memers on Ravelry, Memers66 on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for watching me. If you are a returning viewer, you might be surprised to see me inside, or maybe not, but I usually podcast outside. I live in the Hudson Valley, and it's beautiful in the area I live in, so I like to podcast outside as much as possible. But today, because of some craziness that I'll talk about maybe towards the end if there's time, I am just getting home and around to podcasting now, and it's already dark out. It's almost 5 o'clock. So I am podcasting in my kitchen. Sorry for the light. It's not, I don't think it's that great. I haven't tested it with, well, that's a good color. Just holding stuff up to see how the color shows. It's my hat that I have on the kitchen table all the time. It's made with leftover yarn from this sweater actually, but you'd never know it because of the color dominance. But anyway, that's not part of this episode. I have to say about podcasting at home, it's kind of nice not to have to lug all my stuff all over the place to be able to show it to you, because usually, when I podcast outside, I have to carry my tripod and usually at least 2 bags of yarny, fibery stuff. And then I have to set it up outside, and I try and find a place where there's not a lot of people so you don't have background noise. And I try and find a place where it's not too windy so you don't hear the wind gusts in the background against the microphone. Oh, and I had someone mention to me, it wasn't really a complaint, but she said that in the last episode the wind was very loud, and that maybe there's some kind of microphone muffler or something I could get. And maybe not now, because I probably won't be podcasting outside as much now that it's getting really cold out. But I will look into that for next year when I start podcasting outside again. Yeah, because it makes sense, and I definitely understand that. And if I'm going to be podcasting outside, I should have some kind of mic that can block the wind. And if you know of any good ones that you can recommend, I would greatly appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Fire alarm. I live near the firehouse, so you're hearing the fire alarm go off. So I hope everybody's okay. And here's a toast to all the volunteer firemen and women, because my town has a strictly volunteer fire department, so I'm very grateful for the people that give their time freely to keep us safe and everything. So I do have a lot to talk about. I wanted to talk about first my senior love along. So it's that time of the year again. Last year, for the first time, I decided I wanted to do some kind of charity knitting. And I had been inspired by some charity work we did through my office for a local Salvation Army, helping them get little packages ready for seniors that lived in nursing homes. And that kind of prompted me to do something for seniors in my own area. And I actually live near a Veterans Administration hospital, and they also have a nursing home on that facility in Montrose, New York. And a friend of my father's is a resident there, and I felt that that would be kind of the best place for me to do it. And I spoke with the event coordinator there, and she set me up for a time, and I put the Senior Love Along out there. And I got, actually, there are 200 residents in that nursing home or thereabouts. And I was just hoping to get enough that everyone could have one. A washcloth, that is. And I actually got 400 washcloths last year. We handed out, we meaning me and a group of friends and coworkers and family that donated an afternoon to go there, and we just visited. We brought snacks and we handed them out to the seniors that went to the recreation room. We played holiday kind of music for all the holidays that are celebrated that time of year, and it was such a success that I want to do it again. So I can't do it without your help. I can't go there with just this many washcloths, and that's all I've got so far. Now I know there's a lot more people out there that have knit some, and maybe you still have yours with you and you're not done yet, and that's fine. But I am putting the word out there that I need more washcloths. So please join. It doesn't take long. It takes a couple of hours to knit a washcloth this size. And if everyone could just send one even, it would be a big help. I would also ask that if you feel so inclined, you don't have to because I will do it if you don't, to just roll them up and tie them with a nice ribbon so that they're kind of wrapped up for gift giving. Some people sent them in with a ribbon around them last year, and the ones that didn't, I brought to my Christmas party at work, and my department, we all chipped in and everybody helped me tie everything with ribbons. So yeah, if you could pass that along. To entice you, I did bring down, which is kind of nice because it's so easy, I brought down the box that I have all of the senior love along prizes in. So I'm going to show you them. Let me get that thread up so I can make sure I don't get them confused with prizes for another thread. I have another prize thing going on. I know this is one. This was donated by a viewer that asked to remain anonymous. She donated 2 bags and 2 skeins of yarn. And the bags and the yarn went so well together that I will be giving them away as one prize. So here is the bag. Let me see if I can find a maker's name. This is Bling Your String bag. Very nice. And here's the lining. And here's the yarn that will also be given away with this. Opal yarn in a Little Prince colorway. Decline Prince, Le Petit Prince. I don't know what that means in English, so, but the colors are quite beautiful. This will be one gift. And just so you know, for every washcloth you knit, you can post a picture of that washcloth in the finished objects thread, and each washcloth counts as one entry for a prize. Here's the other bag donated by that viewer. This bag is zigzag stitches is on the label. It's a beautiful kind of retro flower, and here it's got polka dot lining. It's nice and sturdy, perfect sock yarn bag. And here's the yarn I'll be giving away with this. It's like a fiery colors. It's called Mean Girls Yarn Club, and it's 100% superwash merino, 560 yards. It's 2-ply, and this will go with this bag. So those are 2 of the prizes. All right, let me find the Senior Love Along. Post your washcloths. No chat. I think I put the pictures in there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Hold on. All right. Those are 2. I think I... Well, you know what? I have one also that I didn't post yet online. Let me show you that. This is a gift from Senior Level Long. This is a gift from Emily of Fibertown Podcast. I got 4 skeins of this cotton yarn. It's called Not Your Needles, Raspberry Wine, and Pink. And it's reclaimed fingering sock weight cotton yarn. She got it on Etsy, so it's reclaimed, it's cotton, which is perfect because we're doing washcloths. And there's 3 of these. 592 yards, 2 knots. This one is 627 yards. Wow, you could make a nice sweater with this fingering weight sock yarn. So there's 3 skeins of this. This one has 602 yards as well. So that's about 1,800 yards. It's plenty for a sweater of this beautiful raspberry pink and blush pink marled cotton sock yarn, 2-ply fingering weight yarn. And like I said, this was donated by Emily of Fibertown. So thank you, Emily. So we have those. There's lots. Believe you me. Oh yes, that's right. Oh, this is one of the big ones. All right. Let me see. Did I? This is like I bought this last year. I bought one for myself and I bought one for a prize. This is a fat squirrel bag, a gnome Christmas bag. Look at the other side. This is the main side. This is I would say a medium-sized bag. It is, if you don't know Amy Beth from the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast, she makes amazing project bags. They're one of my favorites, her and Joanna Springs. So just the bag. This is one of the prizes that I donated. Another prize is this that I also purchased for this is a Stitch by Jessalou bag. It's a little smaller. It's more like a sock yarn. It's got a nice lining. And it's a square bag. So a Stitch by Jessalou bag with a nice little zipper pull, which is a dragonfly. So that's another prize. I have the sock architecture book. The book itself, not just a PDF. This, I have a copy of my own. It's an amazing book for sock knitters. It's not so much to teach you how to knit socks. It's to teach you all the different ways you could possibly knit socks and how to make them so they fit well. It's an excellent book. So I picked one up for you guys and one for myself. That was a while ago. It's sitting in this box. Now, this skein was donated last year, and I hung on to it because I had, actually this was an unclaimed prize from last year. Excuse me while I sip my tea. This was donated again by a viewer that asked to remain anonymous, but it's a beautiful, it's called Pebble Sock. It's 100% superwash merino. It's about 365 yards. And it is black trillium yarn. And it's gold and purpley plums and a little bit kind of a brownish and yellows, and it's really beautiful. So that's another prize. By the same viewer, also donated this. All for the Love of Yarn, fingering weight. This is a beautiful, beautiful colors. It's kind of variegated, but it's not like in your face variegated. All right, and again from the same viewer, donated a skein of stray cat sock yarn. I'm trying to get the color here. This is superwash, 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon, about 437 yards. She doesn't put the color, but they're beautiful, very tropically, like a lime green and an aqua blue. It's very beautiful. I assume it's self-striping, but I'm not sure. And finally, a skein of yarn donated from my stash. It's Lorna's Laces, Soulmate. I love the Soulmate yarn. Soulmates make great socks and great shawls because it holds, if you knit lace with this, it will hold the pattern very well. Soulmate socks also don't wear out quickly. I made a pair of socks for my sister with this sock yarn, and it lasted a long time. So this is great for sock knitting or shawl knitting. And this colorway is Jungle Stripe. It's purple and like a kiwi lime green. So let's see what else. I know I think I have more. Maybe not. Nope, that's it. So those are all the prizes I have so far for the Senior Love Along. If you or anyone else would like to donate prizes for the Senior Love Along, please get in touch with me on Ravelry. More prizes are fine. They're fine with me. I'm sure they're fine with you. But I think we got some, these are really good prizes. These are not cheap prizes. So, please, please, please. You got a good chance of winning if you post some pictures of your washcloth. Spread the word. I have another contest as well, but before I go into that, I'm going to show you some of the washcloths I have so far. Now this is so bright, I don't know if you can see the waffly texture. I got this one. This one's beautiful because she knit, using knits and pearls, she knit a rose into it. I love that. This one was knit by me with some Valley yarn I had left over from some chemo hats I had knit a while back. Really, really soft, this Valley. I think it's Valley Yarn's Goshen, which is kind of like a, I think it's like a worsted weight. This is a Valley Yarn, and it's way too loose in the gauge, but I'm going to give it away anyway. I made this one as well. It's just a stitch pattern. This, I forgot, it's Olive from the Dishcloth Diva book. Olive is the name of the pattern. This one I got from a Stitch Dictionary. It's also Valley Yarn. It's a fingering weight one, and I don't remember the name of the yarn, but it's a cotton, and very nice. Another one by me called, I forget. That's not what it's called, but I don't remember what it's called. It's from Dishcloth Diva as well. I got that book from Cooperative Press at Rhinebeck. So this is another one. It's at the tip of my tongue, the name of the pattern, but I really like this. Great books. And then I got a whole bunch of plain garter stitch ones from someone. Pretty colors. These are like purple and yellow, or kind of blue and yellow. Here's a nice bright yellow. Red, white, and blue, which is great because they're all veterans or veteran spouses. Here's a red one. Now she held this double and knit it, so this must have been nice and quick. So you can hold your yarn double and knit it up in garter stitch and get a nice quick washcloth. This one was not held double, but it's just as good. And here she did multiple colors. This is all from the same person. And it's just this is just the basic washcloth pattern of garter stitch, which is great. Here's yellow and gold, and then here's another colorful one. So that's all I have so far. I'm working on more because I have a goal of at least 6, so I have to knit a few more. So please, I'm going to put my address on the thread now so that people can start mailing them. So I'm sure I talked your ear off. I was going to show you all the prizes for the other contest, but I'll save that for another podcast because I spent a lot of time pitching for the Senior Love Along. Let's start by showing you my whips. Speaking of the Senior Love Along, I have in my Big Skein in the Little Wool Bag by Little Skein. I have one of my dishcloths. So this is one I'm knitting also from Dishcloth Diva Knits On, which is her second book, and this one is called Nellie. The pattern is Nellie. Let me show it to you. See? My husband picked it out. He liked it. Liked the texture. This one I kind of need the pattern, but I really don't have too much yet. Just this much, maybe a couple of inches. So these things don't take long at all, and it's really fun to use the different stitch patterns and just kind of play around with them. This, like I said, is the Valley Yarns, and I just don't remember. This is left over from a chemo hat, and this is more of a fingering or a sport weight. So it's knitting up thinner, so I had to use smaller needles. But this should be plenty. I might even get 2 washcloths out of this, I'm not sure. And I got a couple of chemo hats, so that's a nice size skein. So that's one. Now, oh yes, so let me just show you my socks. This is in my Jan Smiley canoe bag, my favoriteest sock yarn bag, project bag. And here are my Knit Circus socks coming along. I'm in the foot part. I love the gradient. It's hard. I don't know if you're really seeing the purple and blue stripes down here, but I really, really love this. Here's my Fish Lips Kiss heel. Looks like a duck bill. I used, this is Dirty Water Dye Works yarn that I have left over from a Color Affection shawl I knit for my sister. And it just happens to match the Knit Picks gradient, the Knit Picks red perfectly. So I'm using that for toes and heels so I can make the socks nice and high. So this is just the first sock. I have this much left of the Knit Picks yarn, and I'm surprised because everybody's like posts about how they have so much extra left over, and I'm like, really? Not me. Anyway, this is just haven't been knitting too much on, but it's my pocketbook knitting, you know, a row here, around there, not much. Next, an old project that's been on the needles for a few months is the tribute baby sweater. Get the project page up. So this is from Knit Piecework magazine. It is a redesign or a replica, if you will, from Heather Lee Walker, also known as Yarn Yenta, designed this sweater, wrote up the pattern for this sweater. This sweater was from the museum from the Auschwitz detention center in Germany, and this was a sweater from a baby that was taken into the prison, and she saw it in the museum and decided to replicate it. And she talks about how emotional it was for her. And I just think it makes this very special. And so I am knitting this up for a coworker. I remembered, it is Blackberry Ridge fingering weight yarn. But it's, I held it double and it's very, very thick. So this is going to be a really warm sweater for like outdoor. And I think the sleeves might be a little too long, but oh well, she can cuff them up really easily. So this should not be a problem. And all I have to do, so now she does like a picot edging around it, and I just decided to do a garter stitch button band, and I use yarn overs for buttonholes. She only does a couple of buttons on the top. I did it all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buttons. And all I have to do is pick up and knit a button band on the other side here, on this side, and pick out some buttons. And then give it a little soak so it folds up. But this is a really, really nice sweater. So my coworker's doing very well, and she is due not until January, but I have a feeling she's going to go early. But we'll see. So this is almost done. If you want to count buttons as done, it might be a while because I'm not a button person. This is also in my Jan Smiley Queen Anne's lace bag. I like Jan Smiley bags, but those are the only 2 I have. But I really love her bags. Another project. I started, I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm a terrible sister. Last week I said I picked up a skein of Lisa Souza yarn from Rhinebeck. That was the Rhinebeck colorway, and I was going to make something for my sister with it. I became selfish and decided to keep it for myself because I love it that much. So instead, I have this just this beautiful yarn from the Fiber Company, and I am going to knit for my sister this shawl here. What's it? The Camilla shawl by Carrie Bostic Hogue. I think this is the pronunciation. And I know you can't see that well. This is from her Matter book, Anthology 1, which I bought. I love the shawls in here. And she has a worsted weight and a fingering weight version of this shawl. And I'll try and get a picture in there. But anyway, I am using my Fiber Company Canopy. I've had this in my stash for a while. I got the first repeat done, and I'm on the second repeat of the little shell border. You can see this yarn is so soft. Now, Canopy yarn, I got this at Webb's quite some time ago. It was on sale. Canopy has it's a Kai colorway. It's like a brownish brick color. It's 50% baby alpaca, 30% merino, and 20% viscose bamboo. And it's super, super soft. And I know my sister's going to love this. And I think it's going to knit up pretty quick. I'm really loving knitting it. And I have just the perfect amount of yarn. I have this much as extra. So I know it's going to go beautifully. This is also in a Joanna Springs bag, another one of my favorite bag makers. Joanna Springs has a Knit Spin Farm podcast. I'm very upset I missed her calendar. I got behind on podcasts, and she was selling a farm calendar, and I missed it. So, oh, and by the way, this is a really great patterns, very well written. They're very simple and yet beautiful, and the photography is just breathtakingly beautiful. Just in case you're interested. My final knitting whip, which I'm going to show you is, or at least active one, a woolly worm head mystery knit along. It's not much I'm giving away by showing you this. The next clue comes out tomorrow. This is only the first clue. You can't tell anything from it, but I'm giving you the heads up in case you don't want to see it. Woolly worm head mystery hat knit along. Here it is. It's just a big stripe of garter stitch. And apparently this is going to be some kind of brim. It's going to be a very long one. Anyway, I am making this out of some one-of-a-kind yarn that I got from a club shipment from the Spirit Trail Fiberworks yarn subscription, and it's CVM farm yarn, 80% and then 80%, or excuse me, 80% CVM, California variegated mutant, and 20% silk, and it's about 250 yards. I would say it's a worsted. I know you can't read that, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous kind of matte colored blue. It doesn't have much shine to it. It's very matte and very, very intensely dyed. And I would say it's like a Caribbean blue with navies and grays. It's just really, really interesting, beautiful blue. And that is in, oh shoot, my Amy Beth bag is leaking lavender. It's in my Amy Beth bag, which if you don't know comes with a bag of lavender. And it's the same one that I bought for the giveaway, which I'm using now for this project. I'm trying to tie up this bag a little tighter because there's little bits of lavender all over the bottom of the bag, but it's my gnome bag. Oops, let me put this back in. So here's my gnome project bag. There's the back. With the handle, I love this bag. I saw her Christmas bags this year. I wasn't as excited for them. but they're still great. That's it with the knitted projects. Now I have some spinning, interesting spinning. So I am knitting on my new Bosworth spindle that I got at Rhinebeck, which is the teak one from the it's from India, from a Buddhist temple that was destroyed in a earthquake. And I am knitting my fuzzlings from Fondant Fiber. And this is the first one. Here's the rest. They're fuzzlings. I think I called them batlings last time because I get confused. This is the one I'm working on now. It's beautiful blues and gold and like gray and purple and sparkle. So I am going to knit up all these batlings and I am going to ply them together and make some interesting combinations. So this is what I'm working on now. These are going to all be spindle spun. It's spinning up so super easy, but it's very slippery. She didn't give any fiber content, but I can tell you that this is most likely a very fine merino, and probably just with some sparkle. And let me put this back. It sticks to itself like crazy. It's like little fuzzies all over the place, which is, I guess, why you call them fuzzlings. So I have to keep them in plastic bags or they get all over everything. Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure that this is merino. Oh, get back in there. Alright, so that is what I'm doing on my spindles, although I have to say I have been going buck nutty with my supported spindle addiction, my newest addiction. Let me show you the rest of these fuzzlings first. This one is kind of neutral. It's got some minty green, a little touch of lavender. It also does not feel like merino. It feels like it could be something a little more, maybe blue face luster, I'm thinking. Because it's a little more, it's not as soft, and it's a little more, I don't know what you call it when it's sticky wool. It's not as slippery. Here's another one. This one's got sparkle in it, and it's got beautiful purples, grays, and pinks, and a little bit of white. And this one feels like merino. This one feels like merino too, although I can tell there's some silk in it. And this is like creamsicle colors, like oranges and purples and pinks, that remind me of the color of creamsicles. They're very bright yet yummy looking. And the last one looks like a sunset on the ocean with golds, yellows, and blues. And this beautiful one, I would say, is kind of in the middle of a really soft merino and something like a BFL, so I'm not sure. Seems a little squishy. I don't know. She doesn't say, but these are the ones, these will all be spun up on spindles. And speaking of spindles, I fell apart and I bought another supported spindle from the Spanish Peacock because they had an update and I had to have it. And it's all Emily's fault. So here's the one I got at Rhinebeck. I've got a lot of it spun up so far. Just get this, oh, you know what, it's coming undone. I hate this. I had been spinning it in this bowl, which I also got at Rhinebeck, and honestly, it was a little difficult to spin because I couldn't hold it between my knees very well because it's a shell. It's not it's not one that you would normally hold between your legs. It's more meant for on the surface of a table. I'm just spinning this up a little because it kind of lost its twist. So I bought a few things from Spanish Peacock, and I tested it out. I bought this supported spindle. It's very light, and it's I got it with this little standing bowl, which has a little thing. I wish the bowl were a little deeper, but at least this I can put between my thighs and I can spin with it on my lap, and it works well with the other one. So here's the information. It's from the Spanish Peacock, and it's Bloodwood Maple, the sported spindle, and it only weighs 16 grams. It's really light, and I have to say, I like this heavy Tibetan spindle better. I don't know if it's because I just got used to it, but I just like it better. So, yeah, but I do like this one. I just kind of like this one better. So that's it for spinning. Yep, that's it for spinning, and you kind of saw my spinning acquisition. I'm spinning up naturally knitting. I'm really sorry. I actually got, I record on my phone, and my daughter called me while I was in the middle of recording. So I'm back, and I was wrapping up my spinning, and I was just telling you that I was knitting up these Puni's Roleg style, or Puni style Rolegs from Naturally Knitty, and the Bella Sky colorway, and I'll tell you in a second what they're having them. I'm using actually Ricard as a bookmark. Superwash Merino Silk and Superwash BFL. She doesn't give the percentage, but it's really lovely. And that's what I'm spinning on the supported spindles. Alright, so that's it with knitting and spinning, and that's it with whips. I have no FOs, but I do have some acquisitions. Oh, they're right here. All right, let me see. So yesterday, oh, I do have a finished object. I have a spinning finished object. Let me show you. Ooh. So, this is kind of a bittersweet story. I got this, not at Rhinebeck this year, but last year I got this loop bump in this most gorgeous colorway, and the colorway is called Subtle, and it looks even better spun up than it did in the bump. It's 5.5 ounces, and it's merino bamboo and tussa silk. And I spun this bump on my my electric spinner, oh, I can't remember the name of my electric spinner. Gosh, what the heck's wrong with me? Anyway, my Hanson mini spinner, because it's really great for that, because you could spin it really fast. I don't have a lace flyer for it, but I was trying intentionally to knit this thin, because I had knit a bump, I had spun up a bump from them that I got from Rhinebeck also, on my Hanson, and it came out, and I chain plied it, and it came out more like definitely was like a worsted, and that's the one I knit my Anta shawl with. And this one I was definitely trying to get into a fingering weight, because I wanted to chain ply it and make a nice gradient shawl with it. It was a disaster, a disaster. I didn't put nearly enough spin into it, and I made it way too thin. And when I went to chain ply it, it was just coming apart. It was just like not even being held together. And I lost this much of the beautiful pink shade. It was just so underspun that it was even like sticking to itself. And it came to the point where, so finally what I did is, after I started it, which is this skein here is what I started and tried to get through until I and it got thinner, less spin and less spin as I went along. So the further I went along, the less twist that was in my yarn. So I stopped, and I talked to actually Rachel from On the Round, who I buy a lot of fiber from. She told me to spin it again. And she even said to me, make sure you spin it in the right direction, so whichever way you take it off, She says you don't necessarily spin it clockwise this time. It depends on, because now you're taking it off this bobbin. You got to spin it counterclockwise to put more twist in it. So I did that with the rest of the skein, and still I had issues with this pink because I couldn't even get it off the bobbin to put more twist on it without it coming apart. It was really, really terrible, and I was very, very sad because it's so beautiful. I wish you could. I'm going to have to show you this next time I podcast outside. So this is the second half that I did re-spin and was able to salvage. And this is like a taupe and a purple, muted purple. So it will still be beautiful. And you know what? I didn't even count my yardage. But I did lose so much of the pink and the sandy tan color. And it's very depressing. Oh no, I did count my yards. So I got a total of, for the lighter pastel-y colors here, I got a total of 220 yards. And for this darker section, I got 148 yards. So that's a total of 368 yards. I could do a nice cowl with that or something. It's not the end of the world, but I was just so sad because I really loved this bump and I loved all the colors in it, and it just didn't work out well. So what do? We have to learn our lessons, right, ladies? We have to learn our lessons and do it better the next time, so that these two bumps I got this year at Rhinebeck, they'll be beautiful. But this will be something beautiful as well. Love it. I saved this just to show you. So that is my finished object, my bittersweet finished object. I love blue bats. They're really nice treats. Excuse me. Alright. Acquisitions. I broke down before Rhinebeck and I ordered a little skein project for the Secret Garden. Oh, I'm sorry. And I paid extra for a handle because I don't like bags without handles at all. And actually, excuse me, I like the handle on the zipper, not on the side like this, like the Amy Beth bags. She does them on the zipper, and it makes it so easy to grab it and close it. But I thought this would, I paid the $5 for this, but I thought it would be on the zipper. Let me see if it fits. So I got the from Stash bundle. But I did get a lot of extras. So let me get this darn handle off. I can see if it fits this. I'm having an allergy attack. I can tell my nose is stuffing up. God dang. I don't know if this will fit. Yeah. Alright, so I have it on the handle. There you go. Problem solved. I picked the green fabric and I picked the coral lining. I thought that would go well as a contrast. I got the pattern, which I'll just show you the little postcard with the picture of the pattern. It's a leaf pattern by Alanis, I was going to say Alanis Morissette. Alanis Deco. Let me make sure I said her name right. Come on, you have to say her name on here. Alana Dacos from Never Not Knitting. And I have a lot of her patterns. I really love her work. And I like the way that this, and you can't see it because I'm not holding this close enough, or even the picture is not showing it, but I love the way it has kind of like a collar as well. So I got this, the PDF pattern. I wish we could get a Ravelry download. I don't understand why we can't get a code to download it from Ravelry so it can be in our Ravelry library. But, so, Anyway, I got the bag. I got it extra stiff so it will stand up. And, you know, as usual, Anne from Little Skein does not disappoint. Everything in here is beautiful. It was beautifully packaged, presented when I opened. She has some beautiful little cards that say thanks for your order. It's just, everything is just top notch. So in this little bag, I also purchased the ceramic button to go with it, so I can put a little buttonhole. And even this is just so adorable. Came with one of her little stickers closing it, right? It's so cute. And it's, the button maker is Melissa Jean. She makes handmade porcelain buttons and original knitting patterns. So here's her card. No, you can't see it very well. And I know you're not going to see this little button very well, but it's a leaf. And it's got like rose and purple and a green outline. And the card shows it like in a little mason jar. And I guess I'll take a picture of this and stick it at the end. But I love it. And I just love it. I'm really looking forward to making this. And I'm kind of debating. I showed you a shawl I'm making for one sister. I'm debating on making this for my other sister, but it's a 2-skein shawl, and then I don't know if I'll have enough time to knit before Christmas. Thinking maybe I should just knit the other sister a pair of socks. I don't know. But I have so much sock yarn in my stash that I have plenty to choose from. So I got the button and I got the extra sturdy bag. I love the Secret Garden too. But I couldn't decide which stitch markers to get. So I got 3. And I love the stitch markers. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to take little pictures for you. Because I got them in the glass jars, and she's changed up her glass jars, and now some are bigger than others. And I really love that they're all different sizes. And I got the bumblebee. I got the swallow. And I got the robin, the sparrow and the robin. So these I'm going to put on my little shelf above my desk with my other, I have a couple of more of these with other little bobbin stitch markers in them. And I just love these. I love them. I have a couple of her tins, but I really love the glass jars. So I just think they're so adorable. So now that I've shown you this, I can take it out of the bag where I keep everything I'm just going to show on the podcast and actually use it. So that's my first this was a big acquisition. I guess the little extras added up, and I was like, oh boy, when I when I hit pay, but I got it because, you know, I don't buy everything she puts out, but when they're so unique and her packages are so well done, that when something comes out where I love the pattern and I love the bags, I'm going to get it because Little Skein bags are one of a kind. And the Secret Garden, you know, just like most of you, I read it when I was younger and it just brings back beautiful memories. And I used to actually have my own pretend Secret Garden when I was a kid. Alright, so next, I'm going to show you real quick, because I kind of brought up, you may have noticed I'm drinking out of this mug with a little sheep. It says New York U on the front. I got this at Rhinebeck too, so I just figured I'd tell you that, because I didn't show you because I didn't want to bring it down to the river with me. But this is the Rhinebeck mug I got. I got a Jenny the Potter mug, I think 2 years ago. And a yarn bowl from her, which I actually got 2 mugs from her because I knew I wouldn't have the opportunity again. So I have 2 Jenny the Potter mugs, and I have a Jenny the Potter knitting bowl. And I discovered this woman last year, and I did not buy anything from her, but I saw her this year, and I'm like, why on earth would I wait on a line for Jenny the Potter mug? As beautiful and cute as they are, it's not worth wasting my whole morning and running across the campgrounds to try and get there online at a reasonable time. In 2013, when I did go, the only way I got my hands on one was because I was taking a morning class and was deliberately late for it, so just so that I could get one of her mugs. But this is gorgeous, and it's very well made. And it was a lot cheaper than Jenny's mugs. This one was $35, and Jenny charges almost $50 for her mug. I don't know if she's gone up, but my mug cost $45 from her, and I bought two. But I also bought a mug for my sister for a Christmas present, the one I'm knitting the shawl for. I also bought her one. It's a horse because she has 3 horses. She's a horse lover. And there's a sheep on his back, which is kind of like a running joke between the two of us because she and her husband have like 50-acre farm upstate New York where they plan to live when they retire, when he retires. And I keep telling them to get some sheep, and they're like, no sheep, but they're going to have their horses up there. And it's just kind of a running joke with all 3 of us about the sheep. So I wanted to show you those. But this weekend, I taught a hat knitting class at a beautiful town about an hour north of here on the west side of the Hudson River called Marlborough, New York. And I taught a hat knitting class at the library. It was over 3 classes, and I did it every other week. And Saturday was the last class, and it was so much fun. And Sandy has been coming with me because I needed her assistance. The the people weren't as experienced knitting as I thought they would be, and I also taught the hat. My instructions were for magic loop knitting, and Sandy suggested later that perhaps I was expecting too much trying to teach a hat, how to knit a hat and magic loop at the same time. So she came with me for the second 2 classes, and it ended up, I felt very successful. We had some people complete their hats, and there's a couple more people that I know will complete their hat. And we also had a couple of people that were just really trying to learn how to knit. So having Sandy there was fantastic. And after the class, she and I went to Beacon, New York, which is a little farther south and on our side of the river, the east side of the river. There's a beautiful yarn store there called Clay, Wood, and Cotton. It's in Beacon, New York, and we got some yarn, and we sat next door in the little coffee house next door called the what's that coffee house called? I forget. Bank Coffee House in Beacon. It's right next door to the yarn store. The yarn store also has a gift shop area, which has beautiful handcrafted things from local artisans. So I always try and get something from one of the local artists. And I actually saw, it was actually a clay pottery, and it was a flower pot. And it was a small one, but it was kind of tall, and I looked at it and I thought that would be really nice on my desk, and I could put my spindles in it. And it was like $40, if I remember correctly, or $45, but I didn't get it because I have to be a little frugal right now. But I might go back and get it if it's still there next time I go. So what did I get there? I got this skein of Swan Yarn All-American from their All-American collection. It's 75% U.S. Rambouillet wool and 25% U.S. alpaca. It's 100% made in the USA. This color is called espresso. It's a very, as you might imagine, it's like a coffee brown, a dark coffee brown. And it's a 210 yard put up, 80 grams. So it's a large skein. And because normally a skein is like 50 grams, right? Actually, it's small. It's usually about 100 grams. But anyway, what I want to say is it's got a softness to it, but it's also got a little ruggedness to it. And I like that the dye job is kind of, you know, not imperfect in the sense that it's not good, but just like, you can tell it's like handmade, look, that ruggedness to it. And this woolen spun yarn embodies rustic sophistication, yes. Alpaca fiber from a small East Coast farm is blended with Rambouillet wool from the Irk Ranch in South Dakota, where raising sheep has been a family tradition for over 100 years. These quality fibers are scoured, dehaired, and then carded and spun at an historic New England mill. Hand dyed in Maine at our Northport studio, this yarn is a truly an all-American product. So I had mentioned that I wanted to knit a sweater with some Jenny Jill Draper Makes Stuff yarn, some Rockland it's her marled, and she doesn't, and because she can't really do custom orders for that. Sometimes she's just to go with what she gets, I guess. I don't know why, but I had wanted to use her yarn, but I never see a sweater's quantity for sale, and I was gonna wait and see if she was at Vogue Knitting Live, if I could get it there, and if not, I was gonna use something else. But this is like the perfect substitute. It's just what I'm looking for. It's rustic. I didn't want a luxury yarn. I wanted a rustic outdoor yarn for this design in my head. And I wanted a nice contrasting color to do some color work at the yoke. And I wanted it to have pockets, and I wanted it to have a very casual collar. So I'm going to knit this up, and I have the owner's card, and if I like it, she'll order me a sweater's worth, possibly. So the owner is Meg Testerman, and she owns Heritage Woolery. So I think she does she has heritagewoolery.com as her website. She orders all the yarn for this Claywood and Cotton shop in Beacon. So I was really excited about this, and I can't wait. I just bought one to swatch up, to use for swatching. And then I got something with a purpose in mind as well in the bag. So I think last week I showed you this on the round poonies I had spun up on my spindles. And I wanted to do something color work with it. Here they all are. We've got like a greenish aqua, a nice beautiful ruby, deep cranberry ruby red, this nice midnight blue, a lavender, a sandy brown, and like a nice rich brown with some heathering in it. Roughly about 10 grams each of each color. And I needed something for the background color, so I got, they were sell this Imperial yarn there. This is from a farm in Oregon. And it's like a lot of the yarn in this yarn store were local, were American farms. They're not commercial. She sells a lot of American smaller business yarns. So this is one of them. There were a lot of yarns at that store. They really changed up the inventory. We're getting away from the commercial yarns and more into the small owned business yarns. But this is, color name is called Tracy 2. It's Imperial yarn. It's considered a sport weight, although I would say it's definitely a fingering weight, maybe a heavy fingering weight, but it's 2-ply, and I would say it's definitely not a sport weight. It says 2-ply 6.0 sport, and the color is natural. The name of the yarn is Tracy 2. And it has 4 ounces, and it's about 395 yards, which is like a fingering weight. It's very fluffy, and I will knit this on the white, with the white in the background, and I can't make up my mind if it's going to be a cowl or a hat. I don't know if I have enough to do of these colors to do any kind of significant sized cowl. I did some coloring to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. These, you can't see them, but I took some coloring pencils and kind of matched the colors pretty well. And I took the charts from my Color Your Own sweater from Philosopher's Wool. I had made like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. When did I make that? 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, I don't know. It was a long time ago. Actually, it's about 15 years. I still had the charts to it, and I just used her charts, and I colored them in with these colors. And I'm going to knit it up, and I really would like a cowl, and I would like knit, when I'm knitting the white part, I would knit it double, and then maybe put an extra row in between the color change, you know, the pattern changes, to make it wider. But I don't know if I'll have enough. It's hard for me to gauge, and if I do a gauge swatch, I'm using up more of my precious little inventory here. So this is definitely going to be something. It's going to be for me. I'm really excited to, I like making hand spun yarn, but I love using it. So I'm looking forward to making this into something, and it's going to be in combination with this natural colored yarn. And those are my purchases. And that's, I guess, it. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening to all the chit chat. I know it's been another long podcast, and I know I kind of went off on my thing for the senior level on, but it's really important to me, and I need more participation. So please spread the word. And I will see you in a couple of weeks, and I will share with you. We'll talk about the other knit along, which is the 2015 goals. And I will recap how far I've gotten. And until then, thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.